Say hello to my slack life concept. Let me introduce you to my feeling good mindset. I got your hands up in the air, I see you smiling. I'd love to welcome you to the California styling. And you feel the tension rising, got you off the ground, you're gliding. It's an inch away from flying now. Why you running, hiding? You got to be fearless, use your mind to conquer it. If you need your slack life fix, come take a hit of this. You're gonna feel it in the trees or gap and cliffs. Yes, that slack life is my love. I'd like to welcome you to it. Yes, you feel it. You feel it. I know you feel it. I hope you feel it. I know you feel it. I hope you feel it. I know you feel it. I know you feel it. Now how nervous do you get at the brink of emptiness? Are you chained down by the fact you could make one false slip?
One of the main arguments against slacklining in San Luis Obispo is that the line damages the trees when you tie it up, this anchor. But a main fix, or an easy fix, is just that you can set up tree protection under the line so the line doesn't even touch the tree anyway. And most of these tree protections come free with the slackline, and it's recommended by almost all slackline companies. But if you don't want to pay for this, you can always just use like carpet or like a towel or like cardboard even. So it's really easy to get around just damaging the trees.
I know you feel it. I hope you feel it. I know you feel it. I hope you feel it. I know you feel it. I know you feel it. Feel it. You feel it. I know you feel it. I hope you feel it. I know you feel it.
I've been slacklining over a year now.
I've been slacklining for about 2 years.
I've been slacklining for 3 years.
I've been slacklining for about a year and a half now.
I was introduced to slacklining about 5 years ago through my local rock climbing gym, where I saw a kid doing slacklining and doing really flashy tricks, and that caught my attention. So I gave it a try and I ended up loving the sport. And a year after that, I actually ended up being sponsored by Gibbons Slacklines, which is one of the biggest slacklining companies in the United States. And they gave me opportunities to travel the US and compete against people from all over the world, like Germany, Japan, China, just people from everywhere. And through all the competitions, I ended up being ranked 4th in the world for women's. And when I came to Cal Poly at the beginning of this year, I figured out that slacklining was actually illegal, and it made it really hard to be able to train and continue slacklining.
Coming from Seattle, where slacklining is more allowed, it's frustrating to come here and have it be so restricted. In Seattle, you can have slacklines up in parks and wherever you want, but one requirement is that you have tree protectors, because it can hurt the tree if you don't have that. But the city understands that if you have your own slacklining and you fall off it and you hurt yourself, that's a personal injury. It's just like you trip and fall. So there's no liability on the city, which is a lot of what SLO and the college is concerned about. So the ban, I think, is, I don't know, really ridiculous. There may have been some incident in the past where somebody got hurt and took it against the school and that's why they have it. I don't know, but that would make sense to me. But I don't think it's necessary at this point. It's not more dangerous than riding your bike around campus, and people run stop signs all the time. So.
Slacklining is not only a hobby of mine, but it's also a way for me to maintain physical and like mental state of mind because it calms me down and it's a stress reliever. But in SLO, it's not as easy to find time to slackline because it's not allowed in the San Luis Obispo County, and especially on campus, I'll get in trouble for it. So it's not that great here in SLO for slacklining.
I feel like it shouldn't be banned in SLO because I feel like we're just regular athletes doing what our sport calls of us, and nobody stops other athletes from doing their sport in SLO.
So I think that it's kind of ridiculous that the city doesn't prohibit slacklining in San Luis Obispo. I think it's a really good sport that like brings community together. It's a really good way to get exercise and get outside, and really good for your core. I think the city doesn't like it because they're scared of it and scared of liabilities, but if they like realize and like open their eyes to what the sport is, they can see it. It's not a big liability.
Originally, slacklining was created by rock climbers in Yosemite, and they created the sport as a pastime for training and for training for balance and for training core muscles, because slacklining has so many health benefits to it. It just overall it's a really good sport to help with your physical ability in other sports such as rock climbing, skiing, snowboarding, and a whole bunch of other sports, which is why professional athletes today use the sport as a training tool. And I can say so myself, I've been slacklining for a while, and the sport has been my primary exercise activity. So I've seen a lot of improvements since I started slacklining, and it just doesn't make sense that a sport with that many health benefits is illegal in the city. Most gear that you get for slacklining is $100 to maybe $1,000, and I think that if a slackliner is willing to pay that price for slackline, they're pretty skilled in the subject of slacklining, in the sport itself. And when you're that skilled, liability just falls because you know how to control the line and you know how to fall off correctly where you won't get hurt. And if you're helping someone else, you know how to help them to not fall off and not get injured. What makes slacklining different than other sports? People are just scared of it because it's a new concept to them. If you compare it to other sports like biking, football, soccer, you're just as likely, if not less, to get hurt. But those sports are allowed. If other athletes can run, jump, tackle, sprint, why can't slackliners simply walk?